So, if you're a subscriber, thank you very much. If you liked us, like, comment, and subscribe. Spread the news. Because I'm not a psychologist. I'm not completely grounded in 3D and only 3D reality and only physical, practical applications. Because I am one of those people who, just to continue from part one, please watch part one if you haven't yet. I'm one of those people who's not so tied to what does this have to do with the price of tea in China? Because I always find that if something doesn't have value immediately, sometimes later on, there's about a 60 or 70% chance that if you're fixated on something and yet you don't see the immediate reason for it at that moment, your subconscious is working on things and processing things, and it will have meaning eventually. If you are diligent and you do want to understand symbols, you'll pay attention to your subconscious life and your subliminal urges. Your subconscious is talking to you all the time. And if you keep a diary of it, if you keep a journal, if you keep a journal of your impulses, if you keep a journal of your psychological breakthroughs and your connections, I think something happens psychically too that gets stimulated in some people, maybe not in all people, maybe because spiritually that's not their journey. But I think in some people, if you learn to connect the disconnected and you pay attention to the symbols, and I'm sorry, I can't help it. I'm a psychologist's daughter. That's what I look for. I'm always looking for some value in the meaning of the seemingly nonsensical, because I find that so many people are walking through life unaware, and I don't mean like The Walking Dead, but I feel like a lot of people are zombies in a lot of ways because they are not connected to their inner life. And I was raised in a household, as dysfunctional as it may have been from time to time. There were healthy elements too, largely in part due to my mom's influence, but that healthy explorations were encouraged. And what can I say? There's a lot of analytical people in my family, so maybe it's in my genes, and they're all really, really smart, for better or for worse. And I have to be that bloodhound. I have to chase the scent. I have to get to the bottom of it. The game is afoot, as they say. And it's fun. The downside of it is neuroses and getting hamstrung by too many thoughts and getting caught up in too many thoughts. But I'm wondering if thought process is a deeper expression of something else. That maybe the way you're wired, the thought process enhances visions, maybe, in some people. Like, I'm not a genetic determinist, and I'm not a eugenicist, okay? But I wonder if there is some destiny in your genes. Because I guess I don't think like other people. And yeah, I have trauma, and I am processing it, but, and this is not something to lord over anyone or brag about. It doesn't change me one way or the other. In fact, I'm still kind of trying to grapple what this title is, but I had a very strange incident happen when I was 9. A woman who worked with my mother at the hospital where she was a staff psychologist at a children's hospital in a city that I'm not going to name for privacy reasons, but there were 4 years when I didn't grow up in Appalachia. I was growing up in another city, an urban center, for 4 years, but then we moved back to Ohio later on. So, because I'm trying not to be so open about everything. Like, I want a little bit of a private life, but I'm trying to relate the idea of psychic vision here with a possible neurological connection that isn't just neurons firing in your brain or electrons going off, that it might have a spiritual purpose, that it might be there, I don't know, reaching out like this to maybe relate to those of you who don't relate to this. I'm trying to bridge the gap. The whole point of this channel is bridging the gap and making connections. And maybe this is just twaddle. Maybe this is just silly navel gazing. But I have these things happen, and not many other people have them happen to them except in depictions of prophecy and or mentally ill people. I'm in the company of greatness. And for all you normals out there, it's really hard to bridge the gap. I haven't been a normal in a long time. And it's kind of lonely. And so I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to grasp the spiritual implications here, because maybe that's the way I'm wired. I'm a left-hander. I don't think like right-handers. I'm biologically, I think differently than most of you. I come from different angles. I am a creative. So about this lady who did the IQ test on me when I was 9. I tested as highly gifted when I was 9 years old. And I still to this day, it's hard to grasp what that means, but it's hard. You don't think like most people. And it's not, I'm not trying to say I'm a special snowflake or anything. It's, you feel alienated from society. You feel weird. You feel different. And then on top of that, to start having these things happen to me, and then the visions. I don't know, maybe I'll talk about the visions some more. I think I've talked about them briefly, but everybody just kind of like brushed them aside when I talked about them initially, because there were heavy religious images, and I'm not a religious person. And of course the thought ran through my mind, oh, maybe I'm being manipulated. You know, aside from the fact, oh, the obvious first one, Occam's razor, oh, maybe I'm having a psychotic break. But it didn't feel like that. I mean, I don't know. Would you know you're having a psychotic break if you're having a psychotic break? I don't know. It's hard dealing with these things sometimes and not having anyone to talk to about it. I guess that's the bottom line. And I'm wondering, is it nature or nurture? Is it something entirely different? Is it a third party? And I've talked about in other interviews about how I really am 100% in an above top secret black project. And if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. Not sorry. But I'm trying to grasp, like, what's mine and what's yours and what's somebody else's and who's been tampering with me. And so it's just really hard. These are rambling videos. You don't have to watch them. It's okay. Thanks for listening.